Hi, welcome back to this session of Paint This with Jerry Yarnell, right here at the Yarnell School of Fine Art. And, it's another painting we're going to start, as I promised, a brand new one. It's a whole saying in the art world, you can't wait to start one, but you can't wait to finish it so you can start another one. So it's an ongoing vicious cycle. You get really excited about something, and then you get a little bored with it throughout the process, and then you want to finish it. So, that's just the way it goes. Well, now we're back to... let's just say the chickens have come home to roost. And what I mean by that is eventually in your art career, and for me, as long as I've been doing this, ever since I was a teenager, you finally find the things that you like the best. And then you always kind of come back to it. Now, of course, as a teacher, I do a lot of things to help all of you learn different things, from portraits and figures to seascapes, landscapes, cityscapes, you name it, still life. We do it all. But when I'm painting for myself, for my own professional work, or commissions and my museum type pieces, I always go back to the things that bring me the most comfort and I enjoy the most, and that's almost where every art ends up. So today we're going to do that. Just something I want to do, something I think you guys will enjoy and you'll learn a lot from, and I get a lot of requests for anyway. We're back in the Midwest again, and I've got some reference material here, and this painting is called Taking a Dip. Now, these are actual photographs that I've taken. You can see they're kind of well used. You can see the little paint marks on the edges. I've used some of these cows many times, but this time of the year, and right now we're doing this in midsummer, and it's hot as a firecracker, and all the cattle, for those of you that aren't around this kind of thing, this may be fascinating to you, but they always get in the water, and sometimes they get all the way up to their chest and just stay there and cool off. I mean, you can't blame them. It's hot as a firecracker, like I said. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of these cows, either this one, or I've got a couple more, and we're going to do the water. So we're going to learn some things. We're going to do a simple sky. We're going to get a few distant hills. This is up in the Osage Hills where my studio is. And then we're going to put the grasses in there. I may put a little building back there or something. And it's possible. And I've also got some cowboys here that I took at a rodeo up in North Dakota. Now, these are not... I just had these because I like these poses. See, they're on their horses, and I got several of them here. See, I got some of them are in their slickers there and so forth. And I use these all the time for some of my, commission pieces. Someone calls and wants me to paint them a Western scene or something like that. So I'm not sure if we'll put a cowboy in there. It depends on how much time we have. And these are a little more complicated to do on a TV show, so we'll see how it goes. But right now, let's get a simple sky, get our water, get all our underpainting. As usual, the first session or two is just about that, getting the underpainting in there. All right, now what you need is your hake brush, which you might expect. By the way, this is an 18 by 24 stretched canvas. I have tinted this. It kind of looks like an odd color to you, but it's turquoise deep with burnt umber and a little white to get this sort of color. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a little gesso, get it really creamy down here on my palette. And actually, I have too much water in that. Now remember, these hake brushes need to have enough moisture and enough paint to create a buttery consistency. But if you get them too wet, they don't work. So I'm doing this now, mixing this a little better. I think I actually forgot. I put this out here just before the show, and I forgot to mix it. But you got to put a little water in there to get it real buttery. And that makes it real creamy and smooth so that it goes on nicer when you're doing this. But see how I'm working it and really smashed it in, so it's probably good that I'm showing you this anyway. Okay, now we'll get that. There we go. That'll go a lot easier. See how smooth and creamy it is, just like real soft butter or icing. All right, now we're ready to go. Touch of water. Yeah, see, that's going on my brush a lot easier. Now just start up here. Again, touches of water. And just kind of put a nice coating of this gesso. I just made a simple sketch of the horizon back in there. No big deal, really. Just kind of get some place to start. Always got to start somewhere. But it's really funny when you drive out in the country out here during the summer like this, and in fact, almost every single day I see it because it's right around my studio. But the cows and even the horses sometimes will get out there. I've seen them do it too. And they just sit out there and they just nothing's going on. They're just taking a little dip. Kind of fun to watch them. All right, now there's that quick little coating of gesso. It's heavy enough to get a good opaqueness to it. Now I want you to take a little bit of turquoise, deep, and just a little smidge of ultramarine. And we're going to get a nice, I do want a clean sky. We don't want, I kind of like this brighter, kind of turquoisey tint. See how pretty that is and soft? I love that color. So let's just go ahead and work with that. So it's the ultramarine and the turquoise, and you kind of make it to suit your own personality, whatever you want. If you want it to be a little more on the ultramarine side, that's just up to you. But irregardless, remember the technique using your hake brush, another brush that we get a lot of comments about, like, well, how come I can't make it work? Well, let me give you a couple of hints, because there are many of you that are watching the show and trying for the first time and you're not quite sure what's happening. When your brush begins, see, it should stay together. See how nice it's chiseled? Your brush should always have that nice chisel. But if it starts to separate, okay, if you start seeing little separations and you start painting, it's only one or two things it could be. You're painting too dry, you don't have enough paint and moisture on there to hold the bristles together. It's kind of like a glue or a paste. So you've got to get the right amount of paint and the right amount of water. Your brush should never separate. So if it is, that means you're doing something wrong. It's not the brush's fault. Not to be funny, but we always have that excuse that around the studio. It's kind of a little joke. Well, there's something wrong with my brush. It's not working right. Well, 99.9% of the time, the brush is working fine. It's usually user error. All right, now while we're working on this, we're going to go on down here to the water. Now, generally, when you have this much water, let's go over to our reference material right quick. You can see there's a large mass of water in the whole foreground. So we'll have the little land mass between, and we'll make up some little distant hills and little distant trees just to create depth. And it's a great lesson to learn to get those values in there. And it's fun to do this little prairie grass and stuff. But the water is really important for this painting. We don't want it to be too detailed. We're going to make it a little bit darker. So you do the same thing down here, and you have to work kind of quick. And you don't have to make it quite as perfect because it's going to have a little ripple to it. See, the sky we had to smooth out a little bit because we wanted a real clean, simple sky. But you just take your gesso and you put it on here, and you cover the canvas good. And the reason I like that turquoisey kind of grayish tint underneath is because that creates a much better underpainting for, if some of it shows through, that won't be the white canvas you're seeing. So you see I've got this on there, and I'm going to put this a little more just to cover it just a little bit better. All right, now then I'm going to take the turquoise and the ultramarine, but now I'm going to add a little touch of burnt umber. So what I'm going to do with that, see that umber, I'm going to darken the corner down here. See how I'm doing that? It's a deeper water, and it goes up, but you want it to be nice and pretty dark down there. So it's the ultramarine, the turquoise, and a little umber. And some people, in fact, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put a touch of purple in it, especially down here at the bottom. It adds a little more richness to the water if you want to go that route. And I probably would. And this, like I said, you don't have to be as careful with this because we're going to put a few little ripples and things in it. But the water in this case is going to be kind of left alone. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. Most of what we're going to do is the work with the cows and the atmosphere around it and so forth, the grasses and things. So I'm just kind of feathering this color up against the shoreline back here. Be sure you don't forget the umber. That umber is what kills it down to a more manageable tone. See that? A little bit of umber softens it. And just work your way across, feather it until it kind of like that. Now, while this is still wet, we got a good coverage. I want to go ahead and darken the corners even more. So let's take a little more turquoise.